Okay, everybody, good morning. Happy Monday. We have made it to the start of a new week, and this is going to be the first week of the season with a little bit of Seattle Seahawks football. The Seahawks play football at the end of the week. I know it's just a preseason game, but you can't get to the regular season without getting through a few preseason games, so everybody buckle up for that. Going to be a big week. Going to end with a little bit of a bang here as well, so definitely buckled in for that, but it might be a little bit of a lull between today and game day because I don't believe we do a lot at the VMAC this week. I believe we have one open practice on the 13th. And other than that, things are going to be relatively quiet unless we get some movement with a contract extension or trade or something. But we did get this yesterday, so I want to talk about this for a minute. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So we talked about this a few weeks ago when the Seahawks had contact with Terrion Arnold. But obviously, when you're talking about having contact with a player and his agent, that is interesting, but it isn't necessarily indicative of any actual interest. But yesterday, it was reported by Jordan Schultz. Yeah, Jordan Schultz. The Seahawks have actually had Terrion Arnold in for a visit now, and that feels a little bit more serious. So I want to go ahead and revisit this topic now that we know that the team has apparently gotten the answers that they like when they initially inquired about him enough to at least have him in for a visit. And look, to my knowledge, they haven't signed him yet. As of me recording this video, they have not signed him yet. So maybe the visit didn't go well, and this is just going to be over. But if they're going to go through the trouble of having him fly in and then have him in the facility and take up their time, there must be some reason for that, and I don't think it's just because they want to waste his time. So, Terrion Arnold in for a visit. Seahawks seem to actually be interested. What does it mean? Well, first, I think it does highlight, and this kind of goes hand in hand with some of the other off-season visits and contacts that they've had. They want another cornerback that is at the very least intriguing to them. They're not happy with the state of their cornerback room, and that's probably being exacerbated by the fact that Julian Neal hasn't practiced in a couple weeks because of the injury. So it seems to me that we're not happy with the current state of the cornerback room in terms of its depth. I'm sure we're fine with Witherspoon. We're not worried about that, and we're fine with Job, but we need more depth. And you look at that position, other than maybe running back, that's probably the most depth deficient position on the team. And even running back, it's more like you don't know about the top end. It's more like you don't know about what's going on at the very top of it, right? You're a little bit concerned maybe you won't have good enough running backs, but the depth at running back is actually pretty decent. Cornerback is more like, well, you've got your superstar in Devin Witherspoon. You've got a good quality number 2 starter in Josh Jobe. And then after that, Julian Neal isn't practicing. So you've got Nehemiah Pritchett, who I understand has had a good camp. But after that, Andre Fuller and Michael Dansby, who I've heard decent things about their camps as well, but they're rookies. So you know they're not really going to be ready to play yet in all likelihood when the season starts. So that is the position where it kind of makes sense that you want to find a little something else. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. And let me be clear about something here. Terrion Arnold is a player that is interesting, but that doesn't mean he's good. In fact, for the most part, Terrion Arnold has been a huge disappointment so far in his NFL career. He is talented. He was a first round pick for a reason, played at Alabama and was a star there. And he is only 23, so he's definitely interesting. But so far in his career, he has been kind of a mess. The first year he did play a lot. He started 15 games. I understand that for a really good team. And seemed like maybe we were headed in the right direction. But 2025, he missed more than half the games. And you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, they're pretty awful. And you look at the raw coverage numbers, which are not necessarily super indicative of anything, indicative of any actual ability on the part of the player, but they at least give you a starting point. I mean, he commits a lot of penalties, and for the most part, he has not been very good in coverage. Last year was a little bit better, but it's a smaller sample size too. So you are definitely looking at this guy as a project and not a finished, ready to go guy. Now, the reason why this is even a conversation in the first place is the legal stuff. And I don't really have a concrete update about that, but for those of you who may have forgotten over the last couple of months here, Terrion Arnold got caught in a pretty ugly off-season legal situation. There was some kind of a kidnapping. I can't remember exactly what it was, so I'm not going to try to detail the whole thing. But if the Seahawks are having this guy in for a visit, I think it must be assumed, and I don't know what else to do. I have to assume that they've asked around and they like what they hear. They think that the situation, which initially looked very bad for Terrion Arnold, like he was going to go to jail for quite some time, is not what it initially appeared. And he is, at the very least, mostly innocent, if not completely innocent, in the situation. Because the Seahawks are a team that I think has really learned their lesson in these instances and has learned to not go near players that have those kinds of problems, right? Quentin Dunbar was one. We took a chance with Quentin Dunbar, and it looked like it paid off because he got off somehow, but then he was a huge net negative for us overall. Did not really help us at all that season. And then he got hurt, and then it was just done. And then you have to a lesser extent, you could say a guy like a Malik McDowell. Now, his wasn't legal stuff, but he was clearly a bonehead, and you took a chance there anyway, and you got bit almost immediately. So between those two happenings, it does kind of feel like this is the team more than most other teams in football that would not mess around if they thought that the legal case against Arnold had any credence to it. So I'm assuming that Terrion Arnold is looking pretty good right now in terms of his situation with the law, or else we wouldn't be kicking the tires here. Now, maybe it's not that simple, but we're looking at him anyway because we want a corner that bad and we like him that much. And I guess I can understand why this is an opportunity to get a really talented player and young player for very cheap. But you can't tell me that it's worth it when you're not going to ask the world of him, right? You're asking for a depth guy. Like, if you're going to get a depth guy, there are plenty of guys out there that you can go get. I understand that Arnold's more exciting than any of them, but you can't tell me it's worth it when, yeah, if all goes according to plan, he's not even really going to play. Go get somebody who isn't in legal trouble. So I can only assume that his legal situation is headed in a good direction, and we know it, or at the very least, we believe that to be the case. So, kind of interesting, right? Before, it just kind of seemed like a random lark, like a random little check-in that didn't mean anything. This feels like it means something. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll sign him later today. Maybe we won't sign him. As far as I know, we haven't signed him yet, but interesting choice. Interesting guy to get involved in. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.